In January of 2018, new law was enacted in Missouri. 41 states have some sort of expungement of sealing criminal records, and so Missouri joined that. At that time, the number of offenses that could be sealed went from 14 to 1,900, so that's really significant. Just this week on Wednesday, that was expanded a little bit further to include stealing offenses, which were previously prohibited. So it's easier to talk about the offenses that are not eligible for expungement than the ones that are. Violent crimes, Class A felonies like murder or sex crimes, crimes against children, are the types of things that are not expungible. This is also state, so it doesn't expunge federal offenses. It's called Clean Slate Clinic, but it's not a clean slate. It doesn't just vanish. The record is still there. It's just not accessible to anyone but law enforcement. So if someone were to reoffend, all that information is available to law enforcement. There was really no difference in the way we looked at as society at a career criminal and somebody who did something stupid in their early 20s and has not gotten into trouble again. We're talking about somebody who's a grandfather now, who's had a model life as a citizen and can't go hunting with his grandchild because he can't get a hunting license and he can't have a firearm. People who got in with the wrong crowd in high school or college, and now they're a mother and they can't chaperone their child's school trip. This isn't a continual get out of trouble free card. Okay, this is limited. I mean, you get one shot basically, and I can't speak to the intricacies of the law. That's another thing that I think is important, is that it keeps changing. And so if people aren't eligible right now because the type of offense is not part of the law package, or if their time hasn't run, they need to continue to sort of keep track of this to see if they're eventually eligible for expungement. Anytime a new law that's that all-encompassing is enacted, then there's maybe some cleanup provisions. I think that one in particular, burglary, which is a felony, was expungible, but a misdemeanor stealing wasn't. So it just doesn't make sense. So I think there is a certain amount of cleaning up. But I do think that the environment as a whole, as a society, we're looking at, from the White House to the governor's mansion, criminal justice reform to determine what's best ultimately for society. There have just been a lot of questions from the public as to why now. It's something that we've had asked at our previous clinics. And I think that as a society, sort of lock them up and throw away the keys turned out to be pretty impractical. Jails are expensive, costs of incarceration, but then there are collateral consequences as well. You have, when you have people who are disenfranchised, who can't vote, who can't get good jobs, who can't get good housing, and may end up on government support, that doesn't really accomplish our ultimate goal, which is to have people the land of opportunity. The way the clinics work is we'll provide information about the law, about the eligibility, and then, pretty thoroughly, and answer a few questions about that. Then we have a short presentation about eligibility for Legal Services of Southern Missouri, which is providing free lawyers for those who are income eligible. So people have the opportunity to learn if they, are eligible, and then apply for the free legal assistance there on the spot. And so that's how it's structured. Some people will come and they will find that their offense isn't eligible because of the type of offense. So they're out of luck. Some people will come and find that the time hasn't run long enough, so they'll have to check back. Some people find, we usually have somebody with a federal offense, and that doesn't apply to that. Some people, will be eligible, but their income will be too high to allow for free attorney. Right. But we can refer them to lawyers who they can hire to represent them. The reason behind why our Bar Foundation is focusing on this in particular is because statistics show that the number one deterrent to reoffending is employment, stable employment. And when people have criminal records, it's difficult to be employed. So, that creates a vicious cycle. The opportunities that come as a result of somebody being able to start over are pretty significant in terms of their long-term earning potential and other opportunities. If you have something hanging over your head for decades, then you could become hopeless and not want to participate. But if you know, I've got to wait, that was a really dumb thing I did, and I've got to wait 7 years, and then, I have a chance to start fresh, then, I think that there's a lot to be said for that. We had someone at one of our clinics say, who's about my age, who said, okay, for decades I've had this hanging over my head, and I've basically been told by society, you're a felon and we're going to hold it against you. You can't vote, and you have less opportunity as a result of that to participate as a citizen. Why all of a sudden does society care? It's a certain amount of disbelief. And the answer is, it's a public policy shift. And it is something that's a phenomenon that is, I think, nationwide to some degree. I'm kind of intrigued by it too, because when I went to law school 30 years ago, and you learn about the purposes of punishment, and we have a certain, set of parameters, and it really has changed, I think, significantly. The law actually states that if your record is expunged, you can honestly and legally answer that question as a no, that you have not been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. The participants in the clinics have been so grateful. And really, it's extremely gratifying to participate and to produce this for the people who are taking advantage of it. Just going from a position of hopelessness to hope, you can see a weight lifted from their shoulders to have this opportunity. So people who are interested in attending the clinic, they don't need to bring any paperwork or do any preparation, because really this is designed just to throw that information out there for them, so that they will then have the responsibility to determine if they think that they are eligible, and then they would either go to legal services or to hire an attorney to get it completed. You can also do them pro se without an attorney. The form is available on the Supreme Court website. However, it's a little more difficult than it looks, and there are some places where if you don't do it right, you could really mess it up. And if you don't get it expunged on the first pass, I think you have to wait a year before you can refile. Also, there's a limited number that you can a limited number of offenses, and so you need to pick right. So I think this is one of the instances where it's extremely important to make sure you have a lawyer involved. The legal construct, our administration of justice isn't about cataloging people's, transgressions. That if you talk to a prosecutor, they won't say we want a conviction. They'll say we want justice. Ultimately, I think that is where this is all pointed. Is it just? Is it just to treat a career criminal the same way as a person who did one stupid thing 20 years ago and is still on paper in the same boat, right? I don't think anybody would say that that's justice. So I think that should be the focus. At the clinics, I really have interfaced with people who it's really touching that they have, after a lifetime of this dragging them down, and really being model citizen under difficult circumstances, because they have had less opportunity to be able to make that go away and start over, it's really heartwarming. It really is.